Just chill. The camera's on.
Oh no.
What?
Oh, it's going.
That's not me.
Oh, it's
I'm literally not even moving.
I know it's not you. Okay, no,
Just scoop it, just scoop it, just scoop it.
I'm more like, sorry. I'm so sorry.
You guys were in the frame, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
Yes,
two?
we were.
yeah. I can readjust it too once you get further back.
Back of my head. Oh, right.
Alright, here.
No, don't worry. Don't worry, I'll readjust.
Okay, okay.
No, I'm already out of camera shot.
Yeah, you're good.
Hello class, my name is Joey Valencia. Today I'm going to be talking about fast fashion and why it's harmful to both people and the environment. Specifically, I'm here to argue that it should be regulated due to the harm it causes the environment, the overconsumption it promotes, and how it negatively affects workers and society. According to a statistic provided by the Environmental Protection Agency, Access March 2026, 92 million tons of textile waste is produced every year. Most of it ends up sitting in landfills for years just waiting to decompose. Even more concerning, a lot of the time, the clothing is only worn a few times before being thrown out. Imagine this. Imagine you go and you buy a new shirt. You might wear it once, maybe a few times. Now imagine the same process repeated thousands of times across the following weeks. The clothing just doesn't disappear. It ends up in landfills just sitting, adding even more to the long-term environmental damage. Today I'm going to be talking about what fast fashion is, how it became so prevalent, how it negatively affects the environment, and how it affects workers and society. Fast fashion is the business model where companies quickly and cheaply roll out clothing to meet continuing trends. A lot of the time, companies try to roll out new items as quickly to the market so consumers can have what's new. According to an article published by Chen and others in 2022, companies often rely on cheap labor to keep costs low. Online shopping as well as social media also play a pivotal role, making it more popular, but also making it more accessible for people to keep on buying. For example, companies like Shein, Zara, H&M, they release thousands of new items every week, and consumers often feel pressure to try to keep up with these new trends, so they end up buying more than they actually need, treating clothing as disposable, as opposed to something that is truly valuable. But now that we know what fast fashion is, let's talk about how it affects the environment. Fast fashion has serious environmental consequences when it comes to pollution, waste, and water usage. The production of clothing requires large amounts of water to function and puts a huge strain on global water resources. According to an article published by the United Nations, the dyeing process for clothing releases toxic chemicals into water systems, contaminating water supplies, nearby communities, near factories. Communities rely on this water for drinking, cooking, cleaning, farming. This damages their way of life, but also it hurts their health. Another issue is textile waste. 92 million tons of it is produced every year, and most of it ends up in landfills. A lot of the time, synthetic fibers such as nylon or polyester is used, and these do not break down easily. They just end up sitting, adding even more long-term damage. Fast fashion also adds to climate change. The production as well as the transportation of clothing increases carbon emissions, and any unsold clothing is burnt, and this releases more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Because clothing is so cheap, people keep on buying, further creating more waste and adding even more havoc on the environment. But now that we know how fast fashion affects the environment, let's talk about how it affects workers and society. Fast fashion has serious consequences when it comes to workers and society. Companies often rely on cheap labor from developing countries to keep costs low, but according to an article published by Chen and others in 2022, workers are often forced to work long hours in unsafe conditions for very little pay. Imagine this. Imagine working a 12-hour shift, barely making enough to survive, just so someone on the other side of the world can buy cheap clothing. This system prioritizes profit over worker well-being. Fast fashion also adds to the global economic inequality. Rich countries benefit from cheap clothing while workers in poor countries are not fairly compensated. Most of the profit goes to the rich companies as opposed to the people who actually produce the clothing. Finally, fast fashion promotes harmful societal views. It normalizes overconsumption and encourages people to keep on buying more than they actually need. This disconnects consumers from how their clothing is made, but overall, the consequences their actions can have on others. Because of these issues, there have been attempts to regulate the fashion industry. Legislation such as the Fashion Sustainability and Social Accountability Act, which was proposed in New York. And what this aims to do is to make business be transparent about their practices. This could include trade routes, the pollution they cause, how they harm the environment, worker rights, and many, many more. This shows that change is possible, but it also highlights how serious the problem has become. Because without proper regulation, companies will never pay for what they're doing and continue on harming the environment. After looking at all these issues, it's clear that fast fashion is more than just clothing. It affects the economy, it affects the environment, and it affects people around the world. In conclusion, I know we live in difficult times and some people rely on cheap clothing, but we as consumers need to be more conscious of brands we support, companies we support, and just overall not buy more than we actually need. But for true meaningful change, we need to support legislation such as the Fashion Sustainability and Social Accountability Act for true meaningful change. Because fast fashion may seem convenient, but it is a problem we can no longer ignore.
Thank you guys.
That was really good, actually.
That was fire, yeah.
No car, nothing, just.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I would be like, and then the, wait a minute, sorry. Oh, hold on.
It's cool. All right, thank you guys.
Hey.
I might hit you guys up in a little bit for another one.
Oh.
Okay.